Alright guys, in chapter 5 we have a few sections in it. Hopefully you've looked at the homework from section 1, which is just looking over the PowerPoint. Let's look at a couple problems from section 2. And it talks about probability distributions. So these are the different events that can happen: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number of girls Ted approaches before encountering one who reacts positively. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then these are the probabilities. For it to be a discrete probability distribution, these probabilities have to add to 1. Some of the previous problems are making you do that. But now we're going to calculate the mean and maybe the standard deviation of this probability distribution. So the way that we can do this in StatCrunch is we have the data, and so we just go to Stat, Calculators, and then Custom. So we're going to take the values in X, and then the probabilities are its weights, and we compute. And it gives us our mean and our standard deviation. So the mean to one decimal place is 4.3. Again, if it's not a probability distribution, that means that the numbers would not add to 1. So I guess I should have checked that first to verify that. And let's see. I'm going to go back, summary stats. I just want to add up my probabilities. So find a sum, so we can verify it is a probability distribution. Oh, and the sum is 0.843. So I'm glad we checked that, because that means this is not a probability distribution, right? So they tried to sneak one in on us. But hopefully you saw what we did for the first part, right? We calculated the mean and standard deviation if it was a probability distribution. But this one was not, and so we got away with one. Next one I want to look at is number 8. On number 8, find the mean for the number of cars that failed. So let's read and see if we can understand. Results of roadworthiness of tests of cars that are 3 years old. The random variable x represents the number of cars that failed among 6 that were tested for roadworthiness. Find the mean and standard deviation. So we looked at 6 cars. So when they had 0 that failed, there was a 31.9% chance. That all of them failed, 5 or 6, it was pretty much 0. So let's put our data into StatCrunch. And again, do what we did a second ago. First, we better check to make sure that they sum up to 1. Don't get ahead of ourselves. And what do we get? 1. Good. So that means we can do a custom calculator. So we have our number of cars that failed is our values, and then the weights are the probabilities. And so it found us our mean and standard deviation. If you wanted to do this by hand, it's not that tough. It's just taking this value and multiplying it by this one, multiplying it by that one, and so on all the way down, and then you add all those products up. Again, StatCrunch will find us our mean and standard deviation pretty nicely. So let's put our answers in. We had a mean of 1.347. 1.3 to one decimal place. So it counted that correct. Standard deviation, we've already found that as well in StatCrunch. 1.2266. So one decimal place would be 1.2. So again, we're just finding the mean and the standard deviation of the cars that failed. So that should give you a good start on section 2 of chapter 5.